Good to see you, everybody. I've been trying to get some things going on. I'm going to be trying to do some video editing to where it's not just me sitting in front of a camera, but I'm trying to use a couple of different cameras. We'll see how long it takes me to do a video and not. But I decided that this is a really good time for us to practice some fingerstyle stuff because I know that there's a lot of you that have problems keeping up with the pick, and without a doubt you are probably sitting at home and maybe you have a guitar and you probably don't have a pick anywhere around. So this is a perfect idea for those things. This particular kind of fingerstyle is what I call a folk fingerstyle, meaning it is designed for you for an accompaniment thing, not like it's not a solo or a lead thing. It's more, instead of you strumming, for instance, on a song, this is to give you another option. Now, this is basically, I'm teaching you a pattern, and it's kind of like a banjo type pattern. I was taught this as a young kid, and it really served me good. And it's well worth your time, because if you're playing along with somebody and they're already strumming, it would be good for you sometimes to be able to do something a little bit different. But I'm going to teach you guys this pattern, and we're going to kind of spend the next few weeks talking about how to turn this into a song, and we'll look at some finger picking songs. So anyway, I'm going to cut to it. This pattern right here, there's some rules, okay? So the first set of rules that I have is the thumb for this style of playing fingerstyle is going to handle all three of the big strings. Anything that happens on these strings, the thumb is going to take care of it, okay? Your first finger has one job in this particular pattern. It is the third string. So you've got the thumb, anything that happens on this, the thumb gets. First finger is going to handle the third string. The bottom two strings, your middle finger is going to handle. Anything that happens here, middle finger. Now, what about these other two fingers? We'll possibly bring those in later. A classical style approach is using the third finger. But for this particular style, most people use this, okay? So the thing that I want to stress the most is if you learn how to pick the strings correctly, it's going to make your job a lot easier. Notice that my thumb is way out here in front. That is so that a lot of people want to do something like this. They want to have that thumb back here, and what ends up happening is it all. So when you come to the guitar, make sure that you are practicing. It's kind of like you're giving a thumbs up, but sideways, and it really needs to be out here by itself. When that thumb hits the string, it's going to do like a little circle. It's plucking, it's not snapping from the bottom. It's plucking through the string, and it's doing a little circle, And if you can practice that, what I'm doing right here is I've got my other two fingers anchored right here on the strings to kind of help me. The good thing about being in quarantine is you've got nothing but time. You could sit in front of the TV and watch a show and just do this. Now, and I'm just doing a little circle. See that? Okay. The other thing that everybody wants to do is they want to anchor their hand. They feel like they don't have any muscle control right here, and the way that they get behind that is they put their hand right here, and this creates a lot of problems. It doesn't allow you to touch the string correctly. It ends up making that popping sound, So you don't want to do that. What I've told people in the past that has worked, as opposed to doing this, I'd much rather see you anchored with your pinky right here. Now, eventually we'll get rid of this pinky too but I would rather see your pinky here to keep your hand straight as this. Now, if you don't want to do either one of those things, you can kind of practice letting your fingers kind of walk a trapeze kind of thing. They're just here, and I have them while I'm playing with my thumb, got them kind of anchored here, okay? But when I first started out, I did this because I wanted to do this, and my teacher hated the fact that I was doing this, so anyway, those are the big rules. Now, you've got plenty of time right now. Please don't do things like, oh, I'm going to see if I can blow through this and forget everything Mr. Shields tells me, and I'm going to play with my hand back here and my thumb right here. You can see how that's going to make a problem. Or they're doing crazy stuff, okay? The important part, the thumb's out here, and I'm going to teach you the first half right here. And I'm going to be playing a D chord at the time, okay? So I'm doing a D chord, just regular old D. Now, if this is hard for you, or for instance, you've been playing a lot of ukulele, and all of a sudden this isn't, you're getting this sound a lot, you can actually just do it without the chord. And in fact, I'm going to teach you this pattern without any chord. So take your left hand off. We don't need it right now until we get this pattern learned. So the first thing I'm going to do on this D is I'm going to play the 4th string. And just like what I was talking about with a pick earlier in the year, we are going to plant our thumb before we play it. We're not going to swipe from back here, just the same way as what I was telling you when you play with a pick. You touch the string before you go through it. Same thing here. You're going to. So instead of swiping at the string, put your thumb on there, get ready to play. And here's the first half of the pattern that I'm going to teach you. You're going to play thumb, and then you're going to play middle on the 2nd string. And in this light, it's kind of hard to see where my 1st string is, but I'll see if maybe I can brighten it up somehow. But I'm going 4th string. Notice I'm doing a little circle here. And then 2nd string. Now, when I'm playing with my 2nd string, it's not going to do a little circle, okay? And in fact, one of the other reasons that's good for your pinky to be here is we don't want to pop the strings from the bottom and make this sound. Well, that's kind of hard to hear that. But you also don't want to bounce your hand like this. That's what everybody wants to do. Some kind of like claw hammer banjo type thing. No, everything stays right in, and when you're doing it correctly, your 1st finger and 2nd finger will feel like they have their own path that they never get off in the other one. I hope that makes sense. So you're going to play 4th string, and then 2nd string, and then 1st string. And remember, 1st string's only job in this particular pattern is to play the 3rd string. So you're going thumb, 2nd, 3rd, 2nd. And notice that my fingers, they feel and they look like somebody trying to jog or something like that. I don't know. But I'm trying to get those to come back into my palm. You know, you don't want to leave them sitting there. You know, you want to touch the string and then let it come up into your palm like this. Remember, the great thing about being on quarantine right now is you got nothing but time. You can sit and watch TV, and it doesn't even really matter when you're learning this pattern what you're doing with the left hand, because there's so much to think about. Making that circle, these coming into the palm. So I'm going 4, 2, 3, 2. Okay, let's do that real slow. See if you can keep up with me. So I'm gonna try to do it. Let's see if I can do it 2 beats a piece, like 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Try that with me. I've not got any. This is the first half of the pattern. Sorry. It's weird watching it on and playing at the same time. okay? So now let's go ahead and put it with our D chord so that you can hear what it sounds like. You know, here's my D. I think I'm in tune. So, same pattern, but now I'm holding the D. So it should sound like a D chord. That's it right there. Now, at this point, what you should be doing, and it might not be a bad idea for you to like put a video camera on your hand so that you can actually watch it while you're doing it, because sometimes, you know, you think, oh, I'm doing really awesome at this, I'm gonna speed it up, and the next thing you know, all of these hand problems that I was talking about. So the important thing now is to make sure that your fingers are going like they're supposed to. You know, make sure that thumb stays out here. Like I said, brace with your pinky if you need to. Don't put your hand back. Everybody wants to do this. I wanted to do this. Everybody that I've ever taught fingerstyle wants to do this. They also want to have their hand, their thumb back here. Those, I can't stress enough how important that is. So don't send me a video 2 hours from now going, Mr. Shields, this is so easy, and you're playing at 1,000,000 miles an hour with your thumb and your hand all jacked up, okay? Don't do that. Nice and slow. Everything is slow. Now, if you get to where you can do it this speed, with your thumb making that circle and your fingers going back, and I'm really over-exaggerating the fingers right now, okay? When you can do that, your next step is you're going to rotate between your basses. The first time you're going to do it, you're going to go 4, 2, 3, 2. The second time you're going to play the 5th string. So you may want to isolate the 5th string and go 5, 2, 3, 2. So the first one was 4. Second one is 5. 4, 5. Now, if you're getting confused, you may want to stop. Just work on the 5, 2, 3, 2 part. Now, I'm going to say this. We're about 14, almost 14 minutes into this right now. And I talked for a couple minutes at the beginning, so we're probably a good 10 to 11 minutes in. It should take you a lot longer than that to get that together. That's several hours of playing, meaning it's generally the people that I have trouble with are my really good students that move fast, and all of a sudden they're like, I've got to get through this. And what ends up happening is, like I said, they're contacting me an hour later telling me how awesome of a finger picker they are, and then when I actually get to see it, they've got all these problems going on, okay? We got to make sure that this is right. I can't stress that enough, okay? So, but here's an exercise for you. So when you play D, you're going to keep this part the same right now. You are going to play 4 and 5. That's what I call a 4-5. So it's going to go 4. Let me get the chord back. Here's D. 5. So when I tell you that D is a 4-5, that means the first half of the pattern starts on the 4th string. Second half of the pattern starts on the 5th string. 4, 5. 4, 5. 4, 5. Okay? Now, when we play A, when we play A here, A is going to be opposite of that. It's going to be a 5-4. So you're actually going to start, when you go to A, you're going to go 5, 4, 5, 4. Okay? So you got D is 4, 5, A is 5, 4. I don't want anybody this probably the first week, I don't want anybody trying to go faster than that. Even though this is a banjo pattern, I'm not looking for you. I'm not looking for that. I just want the nice and comfortable with your thumb where it needs to be, finger. Now, your fingers down here are going to get sore just like your left-handed when you first did this. You know, I've got a little bit of nails now. They're looking pretty rough right now. I normally have a file that I keep them nice and smooth, but I don't let them get like real long, like vampire crazy, you know, nails out here. Some of you girls that have been doing that leaf press-on stuff or whatever it is on this, you know, getting your nails done, doesn't work on this end, but it'll actually work on this end. But you don't want it too long. I'm not using the nail to like hook on the string or to even play the string. It's more to reinforce the skin. And what you'll find is if you get a little bit of nail going, it's a lot easier on your fingers and they don't get as sore. Also, it gives you a lot more volume than just using. So, your first assignment, good hand position, nice and slow, just on a D. You can even start without this at first, making sure that your hand's not bouncing. Watch your hand while you're doing this. You know, that hand stays right here and our fingers pick through instead of our hand pulling away from the strings. Then put the D with it. It's a 4-5, 4, 5. Work on them both separately if you need to. If you're getting frustrated with it, break them into pieces. Okay? Then go on to A. And you're going to play. It's a 5, 5, 4, 5, 4, 5, 4, 5, 4. Now, when you can do that, I would like for you've got a choice. You can, it takes a pretty brave person to, you know, post themselves doing it, because I will probably need to give you some pointers on what you're doing right, what you're doing wrong. But what would be great is in a day or so, for whenever you're ready, to contact me, and we'll get together on Google Classroom or Google Meet or whatever. I get together with a couple of you if that's possible, and we can all see where we're at. Now, this style of music served me really well when I was your age. It just gives you something different than just a strum. Strumming's great, but sometimes on a nice slow song, a strum doesn't quite fit. So anyway, that is going to be your first lesson. Now, when I say it's your first lesson, I don't mean that it's going to be, when I was teaching privately, this would have been something that I would have given you a week to be able to do. If it takes you 2 weeks, hey, that's great. We've got nothing but time right now. If it takes you If it takes you 3 days because you're bored out of your mind and all you do is sit and play fingerstyle guitar for a couple hours a day, it's very possible in 2 or 3 days that you're ready to move on to the next level. That would be the time that I would like to hear from you. And at that point, I will think about putting out the next lesson. So anyway, thanks for tuning in. Email me with questions. Post your questions because somebody else may have them. And then we'll get together in a Google Meet in a couple of days for anybody who's been working on this like they're supposed to. So you guys stay safe, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.